Today we're gonna talk specifically about Ansible ad-hoc commands. We're gonna take a look at the most common usage of Ansible commands, and at the end of the video we're gonna take a look as well at Ansible ad-hoc commands options that we can use along um, Ansible so that we can make our life easier. The very first thing that I want to show you is the executable that is run whenever we run Ansible ad-hoc command. So if we run which Ansible, we will see the path to this executable. So this is the path, this is our executable that is run whenever we run Ansible ad-hoc commands. So let me clear this. And now, as you can remember from the previous video, by the way, for those who haven't watched, who haven't seen the previous video, I have two machines in my lab currently. The first one is used as Ansible controller, so I use this machine to manage the other machine in my lab network. And here I have this test machine against which we will execute different commands, which is a test bed for our training. So let's here provide our hostname pattern. This is the same machine that we used previously. And as the first module, we're gonna take a look at command module. And we specify -m command, and maybe we want to see who's logged in on the other machine. You know, Ansible ad hoc commands are used to execute single tasks that you don't have to repeat very often, but these tasks or these ad hoc commands can save you a lot of time, as you will see in a second. So let me hit the return key. In a second, we should be able to see who is logged in to the remote machine. All right, we can see that. Maybe, maybe you want to see how long that machine has been up. So we want to check uptime of that machine, you know. Or maybe you want to quickly take a look at firewall D settings, the ports, the services that are allowed in your default zone. So let's give it some time. And as you can see, we have our services. We have our active zone, you know. That's what we can use Ansible ad hoc commands for. But we have actually much more possibilities. And we can manage packages using Ansible ad hoc commands. So we specify our host, again, our hostname pattern. We specify it this time -m from -m for module. Remember, we specify our module name, -a for arguments. And here we want to provide name of the package that we want to install. So maybe we want to install secure FTPD, and we want it to be the newest package available in our repository. So let's hit the return key. In the meantime, I'm gonna show you quickly here that we don't have this package installed currently. If we run which, it's not available, but it's currently being processed, and if everything goes fine, we should be able to see some results. Just like that. We have our package installed. So now if we go back here and if we repeat the command, we can see that it has been installed. So maybe you'd like to manage this service somehow. You don't necessarily want to log in there and do this manual work, especially if you have multiple machines. So instead of YAM module, you can actually use service module. -a for arguments, and very similarly to YAM module, you specify name of the service. So we want to manage with FTPD. We want it to be started, and we want it to be enabled at boot time. So we specify yes, and let's hit the return key. If I go here to the second tab, and if I repeat the command, once we have some output here, you will see that the daemon is up and running and is enabled. So that's how we can easily, manage packages, manage services using Ansible ad-hoc command. So maybe you want to copy some files to your remote machines. Let's imagine you have 100 machines. You need to copy some configuration file to all of them. So let's um, let's actually create some file txt. This is a test file that we will be copying to the remote node. So instead of service module, we're gonna delete this line. We're gonna specify copy module, and we're gonna specify source of the file that we want to copy. So it's under Ansible, file txt, and we need to provide destination on the remote machine. So equals temp, and we're gonna name it copied file txt. Let's close double quotation, and let's see how that works. As you can see here, if we go to temp directory, if we list our directory content, we have our copied file. So if we cut it, we have our file. If we start it, you can see that it was copied 1 minute ago. If you take a look at uptime here, you have the proof that everything is working fine. So let's go now to uh, some ad hoc, some Ansible options that we can use on the command line. So if we have many hosts, like let's imagine we have 100 hosts that we want to manage, we would like to use -f option, which stands for forks, for simultaneous processes that we can run against our managed machines. So by default, Ansible configuration file sets this option to 5. So if we take a look at our Ansible CFG file, you can see that forks value is set to 5. So if we have 100 machines, we'll not leverage parallelism. If we wanted to change this state, we can just provide here -f and do something like 100. Or we can use another option. Let's imagine that you want to run this command as a different user. Because by default, when we run this Ansible ad hoc command, we'll run this as the user that we are logged in as. So in this case, we'll run it as the root user. But we want to run it as Joe. I created this user earlier on the remote node. So I'm gonna specify as well -k, small k, for password, SSH password, because we want to provide this user's password in some way. And I'm gonna hit the return key, and we should be asked for the password. That's right, and I'm gonna provide the password. Actually, let me change something here because I don't know we can do this as well because we're copying to temp directory, so we don't have to have sudo. Oh, incorrect password. Wow. Maybe I haven't set the password at all. So let me quickly do that to show you. Password Joe. And we're gonna provide password. For lab usage, we're gonna provide a simple password. When we go back here, when we rerun the command, and I'm gonna provide the password again. Let's see what happens. We can see that the command has been successful, but the file hasn't been copied. As you can see, the state hasn't been changed because the file already exists there, so it has not been overwritten. So whenever you see yellow output, think of it as, changed state. And here when we see green output, we know that the changes have not been made because uh, Ansible already sees that the state has been achieved previously. Okay, so let's clear the screen. And as the last thing, we're gonna just remove the user Joe from the remote system. So maybe we want to remove that user. Dash M, user for module, and name, we're gonna specify here Joe's name, and state, we're gonna specify absent. And in a second, the user should be gone. Changed true, so as I've already said, we have this yellow output, and now we can leverage, actually we can leverage command module to quickly cut etc pass wd to see if the user has been deleted already. All right, so we don't have our Joe user. Everything is working fine.